I had a lot of feedback on my last video about keeping the commandments does not equal sinless perfection. I think there's a large amount of people that didn't understand the reason that I posted that. I think sometimes though on social media people don't try to understand. But one of the scriptures that came up to my statement was Matthew 5:48, where Jesus says, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." Right. Matthew 5:48 cannot be understood unless you back up to at least verse 43. And there's 5 or 6 antitheses there. You have heard that it hath been said, but I say unto you, where he's contrasting his interpretation of the Torah with the interpretation of some of the scribes and the Pharisees, Matthew 5 verse 20, that we have to exceed in righteousness. And in 5:43, he says, you've heard that it hath been said, you are to love your neighbor and hate your enemy. He says, but I say unto you, love your enemies and do good to those who hate you, persecute you, speak hateful things against you, and all that. And he says, when you do this, it makes you sons of your Father which is in heaven. Son and father relationship often means that a son mimics the behavior of his dad, who makes the sun, S-U-N, rise on the righteous man's house and the unrighteous man's house, and he sends rain on the righteous man's house and the unrighteous man's house. Meaning Yahweh, the Father, shows love to both the good man and the bad man with the natural common graces of the sunshine and the rainfall that are blessings to us in regards to our person and to our property. If you only love those and salute those that love and salute you back, what reward do you have? Because anybody can do that, right? And then he says, be ye therefore perfect. And perfect is a word both in Hebrew and Greek that has to do with completeness, wholeness. It does not mean sinless, at least in this context. There may be some contexts that it means sinless in. We'd have to look at them one by one. But in this context, it doesn't mean sinless. It means you have that perfect, complete, whole love. You don't just love your neighbor, you love your enemy. Just like Yahweh doesn't just send the rain on the righteous, he sends it on the unrighteous. So be ye therefore perfect, complete, whole, as your Father. How? In what I've just told you, in loving your enemy and not just your neighbor. That's how you interpret things in context when you read the Bible. Yeshua is not teaching that we can be sinless. Sure, it's something that we should strive for. And as 1 John chapter 2 says, I would that you do not sin. But the next part is if you do sin, do this, right? So he's not saying be sinless in Matthew 5. He's saying be complete, perfect, and whole in your love.